about young people education. And of course, you were very concerned about the decimation of youth services locally. I wonder if you can start off by telling us something about your journey to date, because you've had a very illustrious career, and we're so pleased to have you. So we'd lovely to hear you about your journey.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Mia, and thank you, Vice-Chancellor, for your introduction. And thank you to all of you for coming. And I'm really honoured to be the first guest at the series of conversations that you'll be having at Whitelands College. And congratulations on achieving this 180 years is really, really phenomenal, and is just a tribute to everyone who's gone before you as well at the college in establishing it with such a high reputation and great ability to be such an important part of our educational scene in this country and locally. And I know it's really, really tough times at the moment, tough times for teachers, for academics, for students. So I'm just really understanding of that wherever you're calling in from. I think it's great to have time for a conversation and time to talk to each other, even though we can't be together in person. I really, really welcome the fact that you're doing this. It's great. So my journey, you asked me about my journey. I've done various things in my life. I guess everyone has. And I'm always fascinated to hear about other people and where they've got to. So here's mine. Like Whitelands College, I have very strong roots in the Church of England. So my dad's a vicar. He decided to become a vicar when I was 5. So off we all went as a family to theological college in Bristol, and then moved around with him as he was a curate and then a vicar. And I think that's really shaped my life. My faith has really shaped my life, but also being at the heart of a community, seeing community is so important, and the strength of community, of working together, of achieving change together is really vitally important, and I think has led me to do the various things I've done in life, including becoming an MP. At university, I was a president of the Students' Union, and I think that was very formative on me as well. So doing lots of things to make students' lives better in the university, but also taking up campaigns nationally, coming down to London for demonstrations against student fees, which clearly wasn't the most successful campaign I've ever been part of. And then after university, I was very interested in aid, international development, and action on cancelling the debt for developing countries. Is a campaign I was doing a lot as a student, and I was really fortunate and be able to turn that into a job as I left. And I went to work for Christian Aid and set up their campaigns team in the early days, and we were working on things like fair trade coffee, which you could only get at the back of churches and was disgusting. It was like this Cuban, really horrible coffee. You drank it out of solidarity, but really it wasn't a pleasure. But now it's available, very nice, and in all our supermarkets. And that's just the value of campaigning and change, and really inspired me to realise that we can make a difference. It felt like a small beginning, like we had certificates in churches, fair trade, people just plugging away all over the country, but became a national movement for change and has made a difference to communities around the world. So I was involved in a lot of campaigns at Christian Aid, and I also went out to work in Bosnia during the war for Christian Aid, and I led the office in Bosnia after the war, rebuilding, and that was very formative on me. And I've gone on to do a lot of work on prevention of genocide. This afternoon I'll be speaking in a debate in the House of Commons on the prevention of genocide and what parliamentarians can do. I also have got 4 children, and I live locally in Wandsworth, and I got more and more involved in the local community as well as the international work that I was doing, campaigning for a children's centre, a local children's centre, not to be closed, and that got me much more involved in my local community, and I was invited to become a councillor, and I did. So I've been a Wandsworth councillor for 6 years now, really just taking up local campaigns on roads, on for local schools, for housing, lots of issues. And I think that was an excellent learning for me about, and really helps me to be an MP now. I also, 3 years ago, I decided, 3 or 4 years ago, I decided to change from international development, and I had been global head of campaigns for WaterAid. So traveling around the world, campaigning for clean water. But I wanted to get more involved in the local community. So I went to work for a community centre in Battersea called the Catherine Low Settlement. And I know that many of you in Whitelands College are involved in different community organisations, and I just think that's really, really important. And even more so now under COVID, how our communities really come together to help each other. And a lot of ability to do that has been community centres like the one in Battersea, but also our community centres in Roehampton, really, really important. And that's why I'm really a strong supporter of having community spaces. So I was working there, and the opportunity to stand to be the MP for Putney came up, and I was hesitant and reluctant, I must say. I think I'm like, maybe women especially, as we go, oh no, I don't know everything about that, I can't do everything. But lots of people persuaded me, and I thought, well, I'll just stand and I'll see how it goes. And I stood and I got selected to be the Labour Party candidate, and then have been working very, very hard in the local community, spending a lot of time in Roehampton, which I feel has been politically neglected for a long time. Not the university, but I've been campaigning on the university as well with the Vice-Chancellor and many others, but I think the community has been quite politically neglected for a long time, and so I have given it priority of spending time in Roehampton. So that led me to being elected as the MP, and I really see myself as a campaigning MP, working together with the local community to achieve change in many, many different issues, and you've named some of them there. Dr. Muir, but there are and many others as well. And then COVID hit, and that changed the whole way I've been an MP, but really hoping to continue to work with the local community.
Wow, what a journey. What a journey.
That's me. That's where I am.
Libby, our president, has got a question for you. And then Dante, our American student, all the way from sunny Texas, may want to ask you something about their recent event. So Libby, please.
Yeah, I just want to start off by saying thank you for everything you've done for students and young people in the local area. Like, we really do see it and we really do appreciate it. You probably get like 1,000 emails from students a day, and we just want to say thank you. But my question for you today is quite a tricky one maybe to narrow down, but if you had to pick 3 books that influenced you the most, what would they be?
Yeah, it was a tricky one. I love books. I love reading. I've been a voracious reader all my life. I'm a member of 2 book clubs. They're probably, that's what do I do to relax? Go along to a book club and talk about books with other people who love books. And I was thinking about this, how to narrow it down. I was really influenced when I was a student by a couple of different ones, which were the books by Maya Angelou, by the Caged Bird Sings, and her autobiographical study books about her life growing up in America and just race. And also she came to the university to speak, and I think that really, really inspired me. So the books Maya Angelou, and they're beautifully written, but really challenging as well as to what we are as a society. Another book that I would say really influenced me, but I love dystopia and utopian fiction. I just love the thought that the way it just makes you think that things could be so different. Whole worlds could have been done differently. It doesn't have to be like this. And often we think everything has to stay the same, or we can't change things. But I think reading Utopia, I love that. So a couple of them, Utopia by Thomas More is brilliant, but also Marge Piercy's Woman on the Edge of Time. I really, really enjoy that book. It's just about a whole different society and how we could be different environmentally and in terms of gender equality and in so many different ways. So yeah, those are the books that I love.
Thank you. Dante, I mean, it's probably, what is it? Really early in the morning in America now, Dante, where you are?
What time is it? Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just wanted to say hello to everyone, and Fleur, thank you for coming on. I guess my little contribution is, how important has education been in your career development?
What was that?
How important has education been in your career development?
Very important. So one example of that is that I decided to do a master's later on in my career. So we were living, I went out with my family to live in Kenya as a development worker, and my husband was working for CAFOD, the Catholic Aid Agency, And while I was there, I took the opportunity to do a master's course with the Open University. So continuing to put the experience I'd had up to then of kind of 20 years of working in international development, and taking it back and looking at the academic background to it as well, and learning in terms of education. So that has been really important to me, but also educating and working along with the education of my 4 children has been really important to me. Learning about education, about educational inequalities through their experiences has really informed what I do now on the Education Select Committee, for example, and knowing just how important that is. This afternoon, I'm speaking in one debate that I've talked about, and I'm also speaking in another debate on global education and how important it is for education around the world. And I'll be talking about the importance of water and sanitation and hygiene education in schools and getting schools back, but also in educating girls. So it's been very important to me, but also I see how vitally important it is for the whole of society that we have, that education is equally available and gives people the opportunities to do whatever they want to do for their fulfillment in life.
Thank you. Fleur, I mean, we don't want to be too political here, but, you know, we've had that momentous event in America. Would you want to say anything about the inauguration, what it might mean for you as an MP and British politics and everything else?
Well, I loved it. I loved that inauguration. I'm cheering on from here. I'd love to hear what you all thought of it, and Dante as well, your perspective. Just that sense that you can change, that I think the way Trump had normalized the values that I don't share, the values of other people being different to you and not as equal to you, the values of discrimination and wanting to shut down your country and not work with the world for the betterment of everyone. All of those ways in which Trump was working, and I was so glad to see Biden being elected. And then that inauguration was just full of hope, full of a feeling that things can change in so many different ways. So I think especially on one of them is on the environment, and the fact that that Biden has just gone straight back into the Paris Climate Agreement. We can work together. There's no way we can achieve climate change difference if we don't all work together across the world. We can't achieve it on our own, obviously. And so that's a massive change. And I look forward to working with the American representatives on climate change, especially, but many other things as well.
Dante, is there something you wanted to say about your own inauguration? Dante, we lost Dante.
Sorry, I was just waiting for the unmute button.
Okay. Yes.
No, it was. I think it was very inspiring due to the different changes that they made. You could always see the after effect photos of the different like brutes that President Biden had now in his office, and for his like cultural point of view, which is always nice to learn.
Thank you. Well, we have a couple more questions, but I'm just wondering at this time, before one of our team puts the next question, if we've got Professor Peter Fleur, who's responsible for education at the university. It's not to put Peter on the spot, but I just wonder if Peter wanted to ask Flo for a question. If we can just unmute Peter's button.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes, not on the spot at all. Thank you. Hello, Fleur. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Yes, obviously, we're the education department is the legacy of 180 years, and we're still going strong, training over 1,000 teachers a year. There's a review of teacher education which has just been announced and just going steamrollering, and just trying to work out what your opinion is to whether this is the right time for a review, to try and sort out the complexities of the market, when the complexities of the market were created by the current government, and we've coped well with them. Just wondering what your opinion is to whether this is the right time for a big review like that.
Thank you very much. And I've been talking with the Vice Chancellor about this review coming up because we knew it was coming. And It sounds like you don't think this is the right time for a review. I'd really like to talk about that, but certainly there needs to be some looking at our education and how we're going to build back better after COVID. We have to learn the lessons. We have to know that in the current situation we face ourselves, so there needs to be some assessment of where we are now and where we want to get to. But yeah, so to put a lot of change into a system which is already under a huge amount of change, and you having to change from face-to-face to online and all of those things, and to add this whole other layer of change is a concern, and it's a really valid question. I've been very concerned to see, especially changes, for example, to reducing the London waiting for teachers, and that's the first time I think we've seen the levelling up agenda actually being levelling down for London. And as you know more than anyone, that we're finding it hard to recruit teachers in London because of the high housing costs. And then to add that extra layer of difficulty for training teachers is absolutely wrong. So I'll be looking at these closely, hopefully can work on you as well and your views on this, and to other professionals to look at that review, and to ask those questions about timing, but also to look very closely at the content and what it will mean for such a fantastic university doing teacher training as Roehampton, and especially Whitelands College.
Thank you, Peter. I did notice a Reverend Winston Bygrave, who is an alumni of Roehampton University. I wonder if Pastor Winston is on the line still, if he would like to ask a quick question.
Hi, David. Hi, Fleur. Oh, I'm here.
Lovely. Oh,
yeah,
lovely.
I don't want to ask a question. I just want to say, Fleur, that I'm really impressed with your journey and just your concern and compassion for humanity and for justice, and really impressed by that. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Winston. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, we've got our next question from Steve, our college community life officer. Steve. He was also responsible for the technology, so.
Yeah, sorry. Shall I go with question 4, David?
You may want to take the one about the one person.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course, thank you for coming. I think everyone said that now, so we're all saying thank you so much. But my question would be, if you were to choose one person alive today and a historical person, who would you choose and why?
This would be great. Who would I love to meet? So the people I'd like to bring back from history, and there were so many, but I'd love to, and I'm a bit sneaky here, it's not going to be one person, but the Pankhurst sisters. I'd love to bring them back and just talk to them about how they achieved that change, what it was like for them personally. I would love to talk to them about how they really, what inspired them to take up the cause of women's empowerment and the suffragette movement. And just to hear their stories of how that was, and to tell them, I'd love to tell them what the results of that have been in this country going forward. We've got a long way to go in terms of women's empowerment and equality, but we've come so far, and they were so pivotal in the movement for the suffragettes. So that's a couple of people I'd like to bring back, the Pankhurst sisters. And they're quite different from each other as well. So that would be interesting to see them all together. And I'd like to, who would I like to meet? I'd love to meet President Obama. We've already talked about the inauguration, but just his political leadership has been so inspirational. And the journey that he's come in terms of he came from community organizing as well, and real on the ground community work. And he was able to take that up to the White House. And he has got so much more that he wants to do and achieve. And especially in terms of the Black Lives Matter movement and where he sees that going. I'd love to talk to him about that. It's a really big issue. So many students have contacted me about Black Lives Matter. We've set up a Black Lives Matter group in Putney, and I'm determined just to keep on working with this. This was not a moment of change. I think it was a moment when the priority and the visibility of that campaign that's been going on for so long for racial equality achieved it. But I'd love to talk to Obama about that. And I'd like to sneak in his wife as well. If we can have both of them, that would be fantastic.
We will allow you that. Thank you very much. Well, we've got both our chaplains. We've got Dr. Daniel Eshon, who's our own chaplain at Whitelands, and also Sabir, who is our Muslim chaplain. Now, I know Daniel's here, but I wonder if Sabia is also here. Is she, I know she had another meeting, but Dr. Daniel, do you want to just put a question to Flo before I take the last one and just ask the VC to give a word of thanks?
Yep. I'm just intrigued as a vicar, former vicar, hearing your journey from the vicarage to Westminster, so if I can term a title like that. And I just wondered, how, if you were to advise, we live in a pluralistic society now in the university, in a way that I found being at Roehampton, absolutely fantastic place. I learned from my Muslim colleagues, Hindu colleagues, and people from other faiths. And I'm wondering, as somebody coming from a vicarage, if you were to offer advice on how, we can live with one another, to enable faith, to inform our, community engagement, how, what will it be?
Thank you. And I really pay tribute to the diversity that you have encouraged and the chaplaincy working together as well, are real leaders on that, in enabling Roehampton to be a place where diversity, respect for each other can flourish. And it's a really special time to be a student, isn't it? You've got that time to sit back, to meet other people, not in a kind of it's not work, it's not social, it's something in between all of that to enable some real ability to come together. And I think what I have from my own faith is a respect of other people's faith, and how important that is for each other's lives, but how that is a driver of change as well, and wanting to respect each other, and putting kindness before everything else. It's a key value of mine, I would say, to be kind to each other. And part of that kindness is to actually sit back and put ourselves in other people's shoes. And I think that's so important for understanding each other's religions and worldview and perspective, is to not be always putting ourselves in the front of a conversation, but the ability to sit back and really listen to each other. It's hard and it's uncomfortable at times, but to be prepared to do that. I think you do that in Roehampton. You can do that as a student and as leaders of the community. For you to be able to foster that is fantastic to do. So that respect for each other and just kindness all the time is what drives me and enables me to understand each other, but also being prepared to be uncomfortable sometimes.
Thank you. At our second Whitelands annual lecture last year, we had the privilege of hosting the Archbishop of Canterbury and Dr. Michael Curry from the States, and they talked a lot about kindness and love. So thank you for just reiterating the importance of being kind, especially now. And I guess the final question before the VC gives a vote of thanks is that, we are all now living in troubled times. And students, of course, are having quite an horrendous time now. Their hopes and dreams of all the things that we experience as students, many of them will not be actually having. But they are resilient and they're trying to do the best. And at the university, we go out of our way to make sure that our students are as comfortable and as supportive as we can make it. What advice, especially at these times, would you give to our students?
Thank you. And I really do understand how difficult it is. I've got a student in my own house who should be on campus enjoying his first year, and he's got such a different experience, but it's his own experience as well. And I've been talking to him quite a lot about how to get through this and the change from what he expected from a university experience and what he's having. And I know that at Roehampton, there's a lot of work going on with the pastoral support. I would think kindness, but kindness to yourself. Be kind to yourself. This is a really difficult time. If you just get through this time, having achieved what you want to achieve academically, but just spend time, don't beat yourself up about what could have been, about what you want to have been achieving and it's not there. Just be kind to yourself and take that time to regular exercise. I think is very good as well. So kindness to yourself, and also imagining, and this is what helps me as well, imagining the future times that there will be. We will get back to normal. It will get there. It might be months, it really might be many months, but we will get there. Last night I had a dream that it was a normal House of Commons debate, and we talked about women's equality, and everyone in the House of Commons voted the same way, and we were all really happy, and it was back to normal. We were in the same room, and that really gave me thank you for that dream, because it gave me a boost to just think about how we will be back to normal times. We will be back having face-to-face lessons with teachers and studies. We will be back to seminars, and we will be back to campus. It will be back there. So remembering that, but also just for this time, just be kind to yourself. Don't have too high expectations. Getting through this is enough.
Thank you. That's lovely. What a dream. What a dream. Well, I wonder if the Vice Chancellor now could just give the final word for us, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Well, what a journey, Fleur. And I thoroughly enjoyed today and hearing your thoughts. And judging by the comments in the chat and the reactions on Facebook, you've inspired all of us. So on behalf of all our students, staff, alumni, and friends of Whitelands College, I want to thank you, not only for today, but more broadly for your leadership on behalf of our local community. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Vice-Chancellor.
Thank you. Once again, thank you all for coming. Our next conversation will be on Wednesday, the last Wednesday in February, and we're not too sure who we're going to have. We may have the police commissioner, Dame Cressida Dick, but we're not absolutely sure, but we'll keep you posted. So once again, thank you very much for coming, and have a good day. Keep safe. Bye.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.